Now, bar chords are amazingly resourceful. It's really exciting once you learn them. In fact, once people get a handle on bar chords, often they don't even play open chords anymore. Now, I'm not advising that because I think open chords are really cool and they have a great character. But bar chords open up a world of possibilities for you to play. Well, what is a bar chord? Basically, it's taking the chords that you already know, like an E chord, for example, and it's sliding it up. But the problem is that if I'm sliding up an E chord, my open strings are still ringing the same way. So I have to solve that problem. How do I do that? Well, I basically take this E chord and I refinger it, and then I replace this nut here, the bar, with my first finger. And now I can slide that same chord all the way up. Let me show that to you again. Here's that E chord, and I'll break this down a little bit more for you. Refinger it so that my first finger is free. Okay, so watch what I did again. And I just can slide up now and play every single major chord that exists, all the way up to the 12th fret and beyond, as far as you can reach. So that's the basic idea. Now what's interesting too is, let me do that again. I'll take that E, I'll refinger it, I'll slide it up. Let me just come up a few frets, and we'll discuss in a minute exactly how to find the chord that you want. But here I am with that bar chord. This happens to be an A. And if you remember, the difference between an E chord and an E minor was just one finger, okay? You're used to fingering it like this, but now with the refingering, I'm just lifting off my middle finger to go from E to E minor. Well, what's nice is, now that I can make the bar chords, same thing. To go from A to A minor allows me to make that change very easily. So now I've got my minor bar chord that I can slide around and make many more chords. So this is it's a really nice way to get around the fretboard and to be able to play lots of songs. Now these particular ones that I'm playing, the majors, and the minors. In fact, let me show you the 7 while we're talking about it. Going back to the major chord, remember when we talked about E and E7 down here? I said all you have to do is lift up one finger to make your 7. Okay, and again we were fingering it this way. So that was the 7. Now I'm refingering it this way, and I can slide up. I'm going to slide back up to my A, which I'll explain in a minute. And if I take off my pinky, now I have an A7. Okay, so what we've learned right now is this bar chord, which again happens to be an A. By lifting up my middle finger, I've got the minor version. Okay. I'm going to put that finger back down, back to the major. By lifting up my pinky, I've got the 7, or the dominant 7 version. Now let's talk about how you slide a bar chord around in order to be able to find the exact right chord that you want. For example, how do I know if this is an A, or how do I know if it's a G or an F sharp, and what does that all mean? Well, in order to effectively use bar chords, especially the ones that are rooted on the 6th string, which is what we're talking about right now, where your first finger on the 6th string is playing the root, the name of the chord. The first thing you need to know how to do is find all the notes on the string, on every fret. Seems like it might be a little intimidating, but I assure you it's not. There are 2 things that I want you to remember. The phrase before Christ, and think about Elmer Fudd, okay? Before Christ, Elmer Fudd. B to C and E to F. B to C is a half step. That means it's a 1 fret move. To go from B to C, it's a 1 fret move. E to F is the same thing. E to F is a half step. To go from E to F is a 1 fret move. Everything else is a whole step, which is 2 frets. You need to know that your 6th string is the E string. With that knowledge, you can find all of the chords that you are likely to come across, unless it's a sharp or flat, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Here's my E chord. E to F, I said, is a half step, right? So that'll be in the 1st fret. A half step is a 1 fret move, E to F. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. Now we're coming to my before Christ idea here. B to C is a half step. C to D is a whole step. And D to E is a whole step. And then it starts all over. So when we're playing our bar chords, back to our E chord, refingering that, That's E. Remember, Elmer Fudd, 1 fret, half step. I'm going to slide it up and replace the nut here with my first finger, pressing quite hard at first, but you'll get used to it. Sometimes with a bar chord, the easiest way to get more power into it is to roll your finger to the outside. See how I'm taking my first finger and I'm rolling it to the outside? That makes it a little bit easier to press on the strings, okay? So back to my E, a half step up to F. F to G is a whole step, 2 frets. So I'm going to go up to G, 2 frets. G to A is another 2 frets. Remember, in music, we only have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and then it starts again, A, B, C, D, F, and G. So here I am on G, sliding 2 frets up to A. Here I am on A, sliding 2 frets up to B. Now we've got to remember that before Christ idea. B to C is a half step. C to D is a whole step. And D to E is a whole step as well. So now I've taken that chord and I've moved all the way up the neck with using a bar chord, playing every bar chord, major bar chord with a 6-string root that's available to me unless it's a sharp or flat. So let's talk about a sharp or flat, because you're going to come across that too. You might come across an A flat chord. Here's my A chord, right? E, F, G, A. So I'm building the chord there on the 5th fret because that's where the A chord is, with my root being A. A sharp means a half step up, and we're just talking about pitch, okay? So the pitch is coming towards me. I'm going to slide the whole chord up. That's an A sharp chord, okay? I'm going to go back down to A, and a flat is a half step down in pitch, so a little bit further away from me. So there I am. That's my A flat. Now, you might have figured this out already, but E to F is a half step, F to G. Here's my G, right? G sharp is a half step up. If I go up a half step above that again, I'm back to A. And if I go to A flat, a half step down, I'm back here. What does that tell us? It tells us that G sharp and A flat are actually the same. So don't be confused if you see something calling for a G sharp or something calling for an A flat and you wind up on the same fret with the chord. It's actually the same thing. It's just noted a little differently depending on the context of the song. So remember, E to F, Elmer Fudd, and Before Christ, B to C are half steps, 1 fret move. Everything else is a 2 fret move. A sharp is a half step up, 1 fret. A flat is a half step down, 1 fret. Again, up and down is always in reference to the pitch, as the pitch goes up or the pitch goes down. So now, with this amount of information, you can find all your major chords, your minor chords, and your 7 chords that are rooted on the 6th string. You can find every single one of them by knowing these 3 forms and remembering that B to C and E to F are half steps. So to recap some of this, again, I've got my E chord, right? And I'm going to refinger that just like this so that my first finger is free. And now, still an E chord, I'm going to slide up 1 fret to F, 1 more fret to F sharp, or maybe G flat, 1 more fret to G, 1 more fret to G sharp or A flat, 1 more fret to A, coming up to A sharp or B flat. Now I'm moving 1 more fret up to B. Here we're going to go to C, directly to C, right? Because B to C, Before Christ, is a half step. 1 more fret, C sharp or D flat. 1 more fret to D, up to D sharp and E flat. And then I've reached my octave, and I'm back to E. And of course, we can do that with the minor chords as well. E minor, F sharp minor, G minor, G sharp minor, A minor, and so on and so forth. Same thing with the 7s, right? We're refingering and just going to play a 7 chord, F7, F sharp 7, G7, G sharp 7, A7, just sliding up, okay? So let's have some fun. Let's find a chord. Let's look for a B7 chord. That's one that might come across. that we might come across in a book or on a website. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find the root B on my 6th string. Okay, here's my 6th string. We know E to F is a half step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a half step. So I found my root, and we're going to look for a B7 chord, and we know the form of the B7 chord is like the major, except without my pinky. There we go. I've found it. Or I might be looking for a G minor, in which case I'm going to go back to my E string here. E to F is a half step, F to G is a whole step. Here we are, G, and I'm going to make the minor form, right? It was just like the major chord, but without my middle finger. Minor, just like taking my E minor chord and sliding it up to a G minor. Let's do one more, a C major chord. Where am I going to go? I'm going to start with my E. E to F is a half step, Elmer Fudd. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. And then the before Christ idea, B to C is a half step. And I'm going to make my major chord right there. Sounds a lot like a C major chord, doesn't it? C major chord that you know already, and the C bar chord. They're the same chord, just a different voicing. My A chord is the same as this bar chord, A. Okay? My G chord is the same as this bar chord, G. My D minor chord is going to be the same as my D minor chord all the way up here. Okay? So now you can see why a lot of people, once they learn the bar chords, they almost play every chord as a bar chord, because all we have to do is slide it around. It really opens up a whole lot of possibilities for us. But it's nice to mix the bar chords with the open chords. It gives us more sounds to play with.